Live from J-Wood Studios in New York. This is the Kishroni Hour, and I'm Yosef Bornstein, and I'll be here till 8 o'clock in Mir Hashem. Let's start with the tefillah to the Rebbeinu Shlem, the way we always do, and we're going to say in all languages, we're going to say Tati, Abba, Daddy, please give us Hatzlacha this hour, the way you have always given us Hatzlacha. And you know, as I said so many times, the Taka doesn't make any difference which language you pray to Hashem. Daven to him and he will listen to you. I just said today to a little boy who is in fifth grade. Little boy whose mom has a very hard time learning, and he was in a test, and the boys were being tested by the menayel, but the principal came in and asked everybody to say a piece of Gemara, and he nonchalantly skips over this boy. You know, he knows that he doesn't know anything, so he's not going to embarrass him in public. He asked him some kind of very easy question and makes believe that he answered very well, and he tells him, let's say we're going to call him Yossi. He says, Yossi, wow, beautiful answer, and he moves on. I pulled him out. I just happened to have been in the class, noticed it, and I pulled him out a few minutes later. And I'm a behavior therapist, I said many times, and I talked to the boys, and I said to him, Yossi, how did you feel when the menayel skipped over you? Because it's important to get the kids the anger and the pain out of the system before you can help a child. So I tell him, so no, nothing. I said, Yossi, come on, it's me. Tell me. And I told, and you know, he had some tears in his eye, and he said, if he would know how much it bothers me, he would never ever do it to me. I don't care if he asks me to say Gemara and I don't know anything, rather than just skips over me because I'm like nothing. And I said to him, you know, Yossi, when that happens, when you feel bad, when you feel so icky inside, that's when you should daven to Hashem. In your language, cover your mouth and say the words with your mouth and say, Hashem, please, I'm having such a hard time understanding the Gemara. I really want to understand. I don't want to be different. I want to feel the sweetness of the Torah. Say it again and again and again until your tefillah will be accepted by the Rebbeinu Shlem, and it will help you. Over and over again. Every time it happens, and every time you're in class and you can't answer a question in a worksheet your Rebbe gives, or when there's a review, when the kid says, I don't want to learn with Yossi, and of course I made up the name Yossi, it's a total different name, but I don't want to go into it. You should say that. Every time you should say to Hashem, Hashem, please. He talks in Yiddish. That boy happens to be a Hasidish little boy. He talks in Yiddish. I said, say, Tati, help me. Abba, Daddy, help me. So we're going to say in any language. We have just about 55 minutes with a beautiful show prepared for you. And we say, Rebbeinu Shlem, please help us. Please help us and give us Hatzlacha this hour the way you have always given us Hatzlacha. Thank you so much, Reb Nissim, for giving us the opportunity once again to do this wonderful show. Thank you so much, Moshe, who is right here on the ball and doing the technical work today. Remember, boys and girls, I believe in you and I trust you. You are important and you will succeed. Well, our telephone number, if you want to be part of our program, connect to our storyteller tonight, which I will introduce momentarily, Imyat Hashem. If you want to be part of our program, our telephone number is 718-683-5858, 718-683-5858. Or you might as well just text our studio at 347-927-8398, 347-927-8398. Moshe will be happy to take your message and forward it to me, and we will answer your question or your comment. Bli neder Mir Hashem. Well, let's first do the junior reporter today. To the kids' radio we go with our junior reporter standing by. We don't accept phone calls before they are done. Well, let's start with the story of the week. To the story of the week we go at the story station and our veteran junior storyteller, Yehuda Rubin, with the story of the week. Yehuda?
The title of this week's story is No Bribes. After Sukkot, Rabbi Elyashiv would send the esrog Rabbi Elyashiv had used to family B'nai Brak, would make esrog jelly with it. One year, the family sent Rabbi Elyashiv a small jar for the jelly they had made with Rabbi Elyashiv's esrog. Not long thereafter, they were shocked to find Rabbi Yitzchak Zilberstein, Elyashiv's son-in-law, at their door. came to return the empty washed jar. His mother-in-law had sent it with him to Bnei Brak, explaining that as a dayan, her husband wasn't allowed to accept gifts from people at a fear of taking bribes. The story station is Yehuda for the Kishroni on Jersey Radio.
Wow. Look at that, Yehuda. Wow. Amazing. The honesty that these people had. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Yehuda. Great job as usual. Kishroni, our news time is just about 7:07. Thank you so much, Yehuda. If you're a boy or a girl between the ages of 8 and 14 and you want to do a report, well, text us at 347-927-8398. That's 347-927-8398. The number is right here in front of me, but I keep forgetting. You can also email us. You can ask your parents to email us at www.jwoodradio.com. Write your name, write your what you want to talk about, and we will be so happy to put you on. Belina that tried not to reject you, you know what's our motto? No talent is rejected and no child is refused. I hope everybody had a wonderful Pesach. I did, Baruch Hashem. Missed you here for 2 weeks. Well, today, Rabbi Glad from Florida was kind enough to join us here at J-Wood Studios. He's calling in live from Florida with a beautiful story. Of course, you can find Rabbi Glad on Torah Anytime, G-L-A-T-T, if I spell it correctly, Rabbi Glad, G-L-A-T-T. Am I right, Rabbi Glad?
Correct, Rabbi. Correct,
okay,
Rabbi.
Good.
That's correct.
So you can find him there with some unbelievable, beautiful stories. My children have heard that many times, as well as other stories. And he has, I believe, 2 stories for us, right, Rabbi Glad?
Yes, that's correct.
Without further ado, we are going to introduce you. We're so happy that you joined us here tonight. You're calling from Florida, and as I was being told this week that you have the same time zone, so it's 7:09 at your end, but it's probably 85 degrees at your end, while we only have 61, which is also not bad, remembering that we had like snow not so long in the distant past. So thank you so much for joining us. And how is Florida?
Florida is just beautiful.
Where in Florida are you?
In North Miami Beach.
That's where all the Yiddish people live?
Well, there are beautiful communities and a lot of different communities in Florida. North Miami Beach is one of them. Miami Beach, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, many beautiful communities in Florida.
And the Jewish people all of these places?
All of it's beautiful here.
And you're talking about Orthodox from Jews?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. How many, I'm sorry that I'm going off topic, I'm just very interested. How many Yiddish families do you think, from Yiddish families live in North Miami Beach?
It's a good question. We have on one block, probably maybe in one street, on the same street, maybe within 6 blocks, we have maybe 4 or 5 shuls.
Wow.
And, including a kollel. I mean, there are hundreds of from families here. Have to be.
And how many Yiddish schools are there?
We have here in North Miami Beach, we have a beautiful, beautiful school, Torres Emes, and a high school, and a Beis Medrash, and a kollel. So I think here, and a Beis Yaakov also we have right here in locally. And then in Miami Beach also they have also beautiful schools, elementary school, and a Mesivta, and a kollel. So we have a lot of Jewish education here, Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem, it's like another state of Israel, Florida. Everybody runs to Florida over the winter. It's like, so do you also celebrate Independence Day next week? Hey, yeah, no, you don't, right?
I don't know exactly.
So what do you do? You're a Rebbe there?
Yes, I teach in Beis Yaakov.
Oh, in Beis Yaakov. Very nice. What do you do? High school?
High school. I teach the 8th grade,
right.
And then I teach 10th, 11th, and 12th also.
How do you do all that in one day?
No, I don't. I teach 2 classes. Each of those classes, I teach twice a week. So I teach 4 full mornings a week. It's the equivalent of 4 full mornings a week.
And you teach obviously Hebrew subject, right?
I teach halacha, yes.
Halacha, oh. Wow. Very nice. Well, thanks for that. Give us a little bit of a background of how Florida is and how hot is it today?
Today's been very pleasant. Last night also, I would say, maybe in the upper 70s, I would say.
That is amazing.
Right.
It's not beach weather, but it's still amazing. Wow.
It's beautiful. It's been very beautiful.
Wow. We really had some cold days and cold nights.
I heard that you had a cold Pesach.
Yeah, we really cold Pesach. Well, it was warm. It was really, really geschmack and warm. You know, inside, I mean, ruchnistic, but the weather was, I don't know. Someone told me in my house, I think it was one of my boys told me, that I feel like in the desert when you're hitting with the, yeah. I said, I don't think you know how hot the desert is.
Yeah.
The desert was very hot. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and it was very kind of you and being so easy about it. Wow. I mean, Rabbi Glatt, should I tell you, I asked so many people to come on. It's like a big whole huge favor that they're doing. It's so easy. Pleasure. It's such a mamish, so geschmack to call you. Mamish, you feel like you make me feel like so good about it. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Rabbi Bornstein. It's my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the zechus.
Anyway, so let's hear a nice story. What do you say?
Okay, it's my pleasure. I would like to discuss just a minute the concept of davening, as you said, Rabbi Bornstein, in your beautiful story, what happened, daven to Hashem, especially after Pesach, when we saw Hashem's presence so clearly, and we know that Hashem is in charge, and Hashem is protecting us, and Hashem is caring for us, and we have to take those feelings and carry it after Pesach, and in our lives, we have to see the presence of Hashem, and we have to constantly be aware of His protection, and we have to constantly seek His help. There is a phrase, and that phrase is called Yeshuas Hashem Keheref Ayin. Now, some of your listeners may know that phrase, and if not, I'm going to say what it means. But I'm going to repeat it first of all again in the Ivris and the Lashon HaKodesh. Yeshuas Hashem means the salvation of Hashem. Salvation means to save a person. Yeshuas Hashem comes Keheref Ayin. It's like the blink of an eye. When things look so bad, when things look like they just not going to work out at all, and then we daven with our hearts, please Hashem, and we never know that Hashem's salvation, His protection, could just be right around the corner and could save us in ways that we would never imagine it could be. Well, that's what we have to remember. Yeshuas Hashem Keheref Ayin. Now that phrase is going to play a major part of the story that I'm about to tell. There were two boys. Both boys were in the 7th grade. One is Meir and one is Shmuel. They went to a small yeshiva in New York, and the yeshiva had to be closed for certain repairs during the spring. It was early spring. And the principal got all of the boys in the yeshiva together and said, boys, I'm afraid we have to close. The building was an old building that they were in, and something happened. It was a whole big problem with the electricity and the plumbing. It came at the same time, and it was really a very big problem. So the principal told all of the boys, he said, boys, I'm afraid you have to go. I don't know if you'll be disappointed, he said with a twinkle in his eye, but if you have to have a few days, you have to spend away from the yeshiva. Okay, so Meir and Shmuel were best friends, and as they were walking home, they were discussing what are they going to do with a 3-day vacation from school. So Meir said that he has an aunt and an uncle who live upstate New York it's like a farm. It's like a farm. And they have cows, and they have chickens, and they have a few acres of land, and it's a real farm. He said, how about if I ask my mother if we can visit my aunt and uncle? This aunt's name was Aunt Shoshana, and she was Meir's mother's sister. So Shmuel said, sounds like a great idea. So Meir went home with and he asked his mother, And his mother called Aunt Shoshana and said that, that Meir and his friend have a few days off from school. Would it be possible that maybe they would come to visit you in the farm? So Aunt Shoshana said, of course. We would love to have them. Her husband's name was Mordechai. Aunt Shoshana and Uncle Mordechai. So she said, Mordechai and I would be pleased to have Meir and his friend. Oh, so Meir called Shmuel right away, and they were looking forward to going upstate New York. Now, in order to get there, they had to take a bus. Now, they had never gone on the bus by themselves before, which was part of the adventure of the whole trip. And they had a double-decker bus, and they were looking so forward to sitting on the top level of the bus where you have a good view, you're up high, and they were very, very excited. So the parents paid tickets. Meir Shmuel that day, it was a Monday actually. It was Monday morning, so they were picked up by Shmuel's mother, and Shmuel's mother took them to the bus station. Now Meir that morning had a runny nose. He had a cold, so he was looking around for some tissues to take with him on the bus. A very strange thing happened. He looked around the house, and he did not see any tissues at all. There was not a single box of tissues to be had. Now, which made it very strange is that his mother always, in the storage closet, had an extra 3 or 4 boxes of tissues. Always. It's the first time they remembered that his mother, there were no tissues to be had. He went from room to room in the house, and there were absolutely no tissues. Now his nose was running, and he was sneezing. He had a cold. Now what are you going to do? You can't go onto the bus. What he's going to do if he has to sneeze? He has to have a tissue. So he could take bathroom tissue, off the roll, but that would be, not so nice. So he was really wondering what he's going to do. And then he had an idea. So he opened up one of the drawers of his dresser, and he saw a big red kerchief, like a huge handkerchief. What was it from? It was from his Purim costume. On Purim, he played a cowboy, and part of his Purim costume was to have this big red kerchief that he put around his neck. And so that was part of his cowboy costume. So now he decided, well, this is better than bathroom tissue, so I'll take out the kerchief. I'll use the kerchief as a handkerchief. That was very big, though. So first he folded it in half, and then he folded that in half, and then he folded that in half, and then he folded that in half. He had to get it to a size that he could fit it in his pocket. So finally, it was like a whole wad of this handkerchief, this kerchief. And so he stuffed it in his pocket, and then he took his carry-on, and then Shmuel's mother came and picked them up. The mayor got in the car with Shmuel, and they went to the bus station. Now, it was in late, I say the second week in March, so it was still very chilly in New York. So the boys were both wearing their winter jackets. And, of course, they had lunch with them also. There's going to be a little bit of a trip. So anyway, they took lunch with them as well. And they got on the bus. It was so much fun. It was great. There was a bathroom in the bus. It was so fun. And they got seats in the top deck. They were looking out. They had these giant windows that you could look down, look around. And they were just enjoying it so much. So the bus pulled out of the bus station, and it was going on the highway up the highway to upstate New York. And then at one point, the bus left the main highway and was going on a smaller road, and suddenly the bus stopped going. The bus driver kept putting his foot on the gas pedal, and the engine was roaring, but the bus wasn't going. So driver pulled the bus over to the side of the road, put the bus in park, and got out. Everybody was beginning to murmur, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? And meanwhile, the bus driver opened up the hood of the bus. He knew about buses. He knew about mechanics of bus. And he looked and he immediately saw the problem. So he went back on the bus, and he had a toolkit on the bus. He knew that he could fix the problem. It would take an hour to fix. So he said to everybody on the bus, ladies and gentlemen, he said, the bus has a problem. I can fix it, but it's going to take me an hour. So why don't you go out? It's a beautiful day. Why don't you go out and stretch your legs, and then come, but please be back on the bus in an hour. So everybody was happy to do that. It was a beautiful wooded area that they were next to. So everybody got off the bus, walking up and down the side of the road. It was really lovely. So Meir and Shmuel, they got off the bus as well. Now, it was unseasonably warm to the middle of March. So they were wearing their jackets, but they wanted to take a little hike in the woods. They had an hour. So they said it's just too warm to wear their jackets. So they got back on the bus. They took off their jackets, and they left their jackets on the seat with their lunch. They left it all on the bus because they were only going to be away for an hour. And they got off the bus. And they decided to walk into the woods. And they were walking farther and farther in the woods. And then in the distance, they saw what looked to be a field of diamonds, sparkling diamonds. So Meir said to Shmuel, what could that possibly be? It couldn't be a field of diamonds, could it? Shmuel said, I don't think so. Let's find out what it is. So they went deeper and deeper into the woods until finally, after many twists and turns and going big rocks and around big trees, they finally came to a stream. And what looked to be like diamonds was the sunlight which was shining on the surface of the water. And it sent off, it looked sparkling, it sparkled like diamonds. At that point, Shmuel decided to take off his shoes and socks. Meir said, Shmuel, what are you doing? He said, I want to go into the stream. The water was beautiful. It was so clear. And there were stones. There were beautiful stones, smooth stones in the bottom of the stream. The stream was only 2.5 feet deep. So Shmuel said, I want to go into the stream. I want to jump from stone to stone. So Meir said, well, I don't know, but be careful. Shmuel said, no problem. So he walked into the stream. At first, the water was very cold. But then he got over that, and then he enjoyed it so much. And he was at first walking from stone to stone. And then he started to hop from stone to stone. And then it happened. He slipped. One stone was very, very slippery. And his foot slipped, and he fell forward, but unfortunately, his foot got wedged in between that stone and the next stone. And when he fell forward, his foot did not follow the rest of his body. Oh, wow. What a pain. Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. Shmuel started to cry. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, Meir never heard Shmuel cry like that. He was in terrible pain. So Meir said, so he didn't know what to do. So he took off his own shoes and socks, and Meir went into the stream for his friend. But Shmuel started screaming, don't touch me, don't touch me. He was so scared. He was afraid to move. And in fact, Meir couldn't move him anyway because his foot was stuck between the two rocks. What was Meir supposed to do? So he looked on the shore, and he saw a stick, a strong stick. So he got out of the stream and he took the stick and he went back to the rocks where Shmuel's foot stuck. And he put the stick in between the two rocks. And he used the stick as a lever. And he pushed and he pushed and he pushed with all of his strength. And slowly, one of the stones began to lift. And Meir was able to pull out his foot. But it was terribly, terribly painful. And Meir could not go anywhere. And Shmuel wrapped his arm around Meir. And Meir wrapped his arm around Shmuel's shoulders. And slowly, Meir began to put Shmuel to the shore of the stream. And then Shmuel fell down on the ground, and he was crying. So Shmuel said, Meir, get help, get help, get help. So Meir said, yes, Shmuel, of course, I'll go back to the bus. Now, they didn't have too much more time. By the time all of this had taken place, they only had about 15 minutes left to go. So Meir was nervous. First of all, he was nervous for his friend Shmuel. Second of all, he knew he had to get back to the bus quickly. And third of all, he wasn't quite sure how to get back. They were so excited about the field of diamonds that as they were going further and further away from the highway, they were not careful enough to take into account exactly the path that they were taking. What happened was, when Meir had to turn right, he turned left instead. And instead of going closer to the highway, Meir was going farther away from the highway. And he was wandering and wandering, and he soon came to realize that he was totally lost. And then in the distance, he heard a terrible sound. It was the sound of the engine of the bus driving away. So Meir turned around, and he tried to find the stream. He couldn't even find the stream. And then he heard the gurgling of water, and he followed the gurgling sound until finally he was able to find the stream. He walked over to Shmuel. Shmuel had also heard the sound of the bus, and they realized that they were all alone, and the bus was gone. Later that afternoon, Aunt Shoshana and Uncle Mordechai, they were waiting at the bus stop, and the bus pulled in. Oh, Aunt Shoshana said, I'm so looking forward to seeing Meir and his friend. I'm so happy. And Uncle Mordechai said, yes, I'm also looking so forward to seeing them. And the bus door opened, and people started to get off the bus one by one. And then everybody was off the bus. So the bus driver got off the bus, and he was about to close the door. So Aunt Shoshana said to the bus driver, excuse me, sir, weren't there two other passengers on the bus today, two young men, about a seventh grader? Oh, the bus driver said, yes, I remember. They got off. The bus had a problem, so it took a while to fix, and they went on a walk, and they didn't come back. I'm so sorry, the bus driver said. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize until now. So they got on the bus, and they went over the seat where the boy was sitting, and they saw their jacket, and they saw their lunch. And this was a very, very dangerous situation. Why? Because as unseasonably warm as it was in the afternoon, it became very cold at night. It became very seasonable, and it was very cold at night. It was going in the high 30s, and they did not have the jacket. Both of them only were wearing a shirt and a very thin cotton sweater. That's all they had. And it was in the high 30s. Wow. So Aunt Shoshana and Mordechai, they ran to a phone, and they called the police. and they called the highway patrol. And they said, we have 2 missing boys that are in the woods, and we have no idea. We know where the bus stopped. The bus driver told them where to stop. So he was able to direct the police, at least to have a starting point where to look. But nobody knew exactly where they were.